What's going on, everyone? My name is Burke, bringing you the Week 8 Power Rankings for PICA. And as always, I am not alone. I am joined by my co-host, Xavier.
Hello.
So, one thing about this, again, Skype kind of messing up. My voice is a little bit echoey, and there's not really much I can do about it. So, sorry about that. But anyway, there's some good battles this week. Some teams that we thought were going to win did lose this week, and consequently, some teams that we thought were going to lose this week did win.
Mm-hmm.
So we actually do have some disagreements this week in terms of power rankings, but our power rankings have been long as hell, and we're going to try to keep them a little bit shorter as we move along because it's only 3 more weeks after this. Not too much should be changing, and we're just going to kind of move along. But anyway, let's just jump straight into number 12. There's finally been a change. At number 12, I have the Manhattan Manectrics. They lost this week. I think they are now eliminated from the playoffs, if I'm not mistaken. They're 0-8 in their in their division. I don't think they can't even get to second place in their division. They are one of the first teams eliminated from the playoffs. I can't put him any higher. He's winless. He did play as well this week, and his planning, I thought, not too bad. But, I mean, he can't make the playoffs. So,
Yeah. Really no reason to put a team too high that can't make the playoffs. In fact, I don't think this is the first week he's been eliminated from second place. Or it might have been, but just barely. But, yeah, he was my number 12 as well. And not much to say. He got a bit hacked out in the beginning of the match, which was definitely unfortunate, but still, there's not really much of an excuse to put him higher. 0-8, the team that was also winless beat him, even though he wasn't here for the first 2 weeks. I still don't think that's like much of a reason to put him higher above the team that beat him.
Mm-hmm.
So I leave him at number 12.
Yep. Not really too much to say. And moving on to number 11, we have the DMR Shadow Absols. They did win this week, and congratulations to them picking up their first win of the season. Granted, it's 8 weeks in. They are not eliminated from the playoffs just yet. There is a very slim chance that they could make it into first place. Granted, their division rivals would have to lose the rest of their weeks, or at most win 1 week, and then he'd have to win out. So it's very, very unlikely that he'll make it, I'm sorry to say, but he is technically still in the race. His team this week, he brought a pretty offensive team, which he should be bringing pretty much every week. You know, he's got an offensive team. He's got to bring a really offensive team. And yeah, there was a little bit of hacks in the beginning, but the combination of Bisharp and Chandelure just kind of broke through the Manhattan Manectrics team. And because of that win, he's number 11 now.
Mm-hmm. He was my number 11 as well. He got his first win, which is really nice. It's good for him. He may only have a slight chance of making the playoffs, but I mean, who knows? Stranger things have happened. So, who knows? Maybe we should all just root for the DMR Shadow Absols to make a comeback at the century. He had some pretty nice planning, got a little bit lucky in the beginning. There was a paralysis on Typhlosion and a crit first turn. Although I'm not 100% sure if that mattered. I didn't see the EVs on both things. But overall, just nice first win. And I decided to put him above the Manhattan Manectrics. Nothing too crazy. So he's number 11 now. Congratulations. Golf clap.
Yep. So, yeah, really not too much to say at this point. Moving on to number 10, just let's continue moving on. I have the Middle Earth Magmortars. They've been number 10 for the past several weeks. They lost 4-0 this week against one of the best teams in the league. There's really no reason to move them down. I mean, he still has more wins. He's neck and neck with his division rival, I think. They're both 3-5, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they're both 3-5. So he's still well within the race. But, we'll see how he does. He's still having the problem that he has had every week, and it's always and forever, it's just going to be hazards.
Yeah.
Toronto Tarantulas brought hazards. And he has no way to get rid of him besides Claydol, and he can't bring the Claydol because it's terrible. I mean, sorry if you think Claydol's good, it's really bad. And most teams, you're never going to be able to see a reason to bring it besides just to spin.
Yeah. Spinning, setting up rocks, and then I guess screens is what Claydol does, and that's about it.
I don't even think it does it that well. So, I don't know if there is another trading window. I don't know. If there is, he's got to pick up something else. But aside from that, I'm leaving at number 10. I've never really seen a reason to really move him. So, he's going to stay there.
Yep. He's my number 10 as well. Hasn't changed in quite a while. He got 4-0'd. I mean, yes, it was by a top team in the league, but still pretty high differential loss. And he was able to kill the two things that had 4 times weaknesses, which is nice, but still, a lot of 4 times weaknesses over there, I just realized. Okay, but still, pretty big loss. He managed to get 2 kills, which, I mean, it's something. So it's not like he got completely destroyed, but still, those high differential losses are always just a pain. And Hazard's definitely proving to be really annoying for them. And teams really don't have much of a reason to not bring him. And as far as the trading window goes, I'm pretty sure there is a second trading window. I just forget exactly when it was. So I think it's coming up. Trade window 2 is during week 9.
Okay.
So he will get a chance to polish up his team, but that's with 2 weeks left.
Yeah, it's really in the season.
Yeah, it's really, really late season. So, I mean, I guess if he makes it into playoffs, potentially.
Yeah, it could be nice, but I mean, not too much to say at this point. He just needs, if he can, he needs to patch up his team and try to pick up something that can help him deal with hazards.
Yeah. Other than that, I feel like his team is really solid, but it's just that one glaring weakness that's really hurting him. But that's the main reason I keep him at number 10.
Yep.
No reason to move him up, but no reason to move him down.
Yep. And moving on, we have number 9. And speaking of big losses this week, the Detroit Pincers got 6-0 this week by the Washington Red Shells. I moved them down to number 9 from last week. They were at number 8. They are definitely on a downswing. They're number 1 in their division, and I feel like their division is the weakest division because the most wins in their division is 3-5.
Yeah.
So it's not a really strong division. Unfortunately, I don't want to disparage them or anything, but it's just the way it is.
Yeah, it's just numbers.
So, yeah, he's still at the top of his division, but he lost 6-0 this week. It was such a... He didn't have much to deal with the Blissey. So you look at his team, he doesn't have much to deal with the Blissey, and it showed Blissey got 3 kills. A wall like that doesn't get 3 kills unless you don't really have much for it. And you look at his team, he also doesn't really have terribly much to kill it. He does have a Haxorus, which is nice. He doesn't have any fighting... I don't think he has any fighting stab on his team. Which
he does not.
Which is highly unfortunate, because that's the best thing to kill Blissey with.
Oh no, wait, he does have Hitmonlee, which he could have brought.
He does. Oh, he does have Hitmonlee. Yeah, I could have seen him bring something like Unburdened Hitmonlee. That could have been work well. I don't know, but
Yeah.
it was just a really devastating loss for him. His planning, I don't know. I really thought this was the Washington Red Shells had just planned way too well and played way too well to give him any edge or any momentum.
Mm-hmm.
So, I keep him at number 9. Well, I moved him down to number 9. He can still make the playoffs, but this isn't solely a list on who's making the playoffs, but who do we think are the biggest threats in the league. You know, coupled with who do we think might make the playoffs. You know, usually high on the list, people that are going to make the playoffs, but, you know, like, I can see him making the playoffs, but I don't know how far he's going to go with the showing he's had currently.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be very interesting to see who makes the playoffs, considering he is in a pretty tight race with the Middle-earth Magmortar. Either of them can definitely pull ahead, but that's basically how everything is at this point. There's still a few weeks to fully decide who's going to make it, and a lot of teams are pretty neck and neck. And they're mine, week 9 is, well, not week 9, they're my number 9 as well, because, I mean, they got 6-0'd, so can't expect to be number 1 when you get 6-0'd, can you? And the Washington Red Shells, pretty defensive team, and a lot of teams seem to be having trouble dealing with the Washington Red Shells when they bring a defensive team. That very bulky team, they have trouble breaking through it. This is the second 6-0 he's got from that. And just, it doesn't look like the Detroit Pincers, they brought some really good wall breakers. And if you look at the Red Shells team, nothing really wants to take a hit from the Mamoswine. So, it's not like the Detroit Pincers just got really, really bad team matchup, honestly. It definitely looks like it could be annoying.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely don't feel like it wasn't at all manageable. And I don't think, you can say team matchup caused the 6-0.
Yeah, no, I don't think team matchup caused 6-0. That's why I said the planning on the Washington Red Shells and the playing was just so much better.
Yeah, the planning is just clearly superior.
Yeah, and he didn't even bring, Mega Aggron, which would have been kind of nice. But, he brought... Well, we'll talk about the Washington Red Shells when we get there.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the Detroit Pincers, you just saw... When I watched them, I'm just he's making predictable plays. The Washington Red Shells are taking advantage of that, and they can then save differential once his offense is broken through. So, number 9.
Yeah.
I want to see him do well, and I hope he turns around next week. Sorry to whoever he plays. I'm basically... That's like rooting against him. But, yeah, I want to see him at least not get 6-0'd again.
Yeah. It's definitely a close race between Detroit Pincers and Middle-earth Magmortar Arena.
Yeah.
See if one can pull ahead of the other.
Mm-hmm.
But still, list of threats, not list of playoffs potential.
Mm-hmm. Because if it was, then he'd be number 6.
Yeah. What's your 8?
Yep. Number 8, I have the Vesquin Park Rangers. Last week I had them at 7. And 7 and 8 for me, they're basically interchangeable. I just put one above the other just because, as you'll see on the screen, I have the Atlanta Braviary at 7. I had the Vesquin Park Rangers at 8 this week. They were at 7. They lost. It was a really close 1-0. The reason I'm about this match, just because that Powdon was taking so many hits, and it unfortunately got crit by an overheat, and that meant it couldn't take a bullet punch from the Mega Scizor, which was really unfortunate. Yeah, it happens. But I didn't really like the Vesquin Park Rangers planning. You look at their team, and he has nothing for the Virizion, and it showed. It got 3 kills.
Yeah.
I mean, like, Exegol, weak to fighting. Hippowdon, weak to grass. Electros is kind of bulky, but not physically bulky. Polion, weak to fighting. Volcarona, weak to rock, which Virizion gets. Stone Edge. And then Hariyama, well, is just fat. But you can't, like, expect to wall something. You can't expect Hariyama to wall something. It's just, it's bulky, but it's not going to take that many hits. So I don't feel like he planned well enough on the Virizion. He's got a Mega Aerodactyl, which I thought would have been a pretty good pick this week, because you look at the team matchups and does quite a bit, and it outspeeds his entire team.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know if that would that have helped with the Choice Scarf Virizion. Maybe. The Virizion outspeeds, but it could put a lot of offensive pressure on it. Granted, Mega Scizor just kind of poops all over Mega Aerodactyl, so there's that. But I don't know. I was just not extremely impressed with the planning this week, and then the hacks just kind of sealed it for him towards the end. That crit he's done. He has nothing for Mega Scizor at that point.
Yeah. It was definitely unfortunate. Are you done?
Yeah, I'm done.
Oh, okay. Well, my number 8 was the Atlanta Braviary. As you said, they're pretty interchangeable, but, we just decided to put them in different spots. But the one thing that the Atlanta Braviary did this week that was just baffling, like, I guess he just had a little lapse in judgment at the moment, and he burnt a Hariyama, which, judging by that damage it started doing, was probably guts. And it's just, that's not the kind of risk that you take when there's a Hariyama on the field. You don't, like, I assume he just forgot. But overall, it's just really not a good thing to do.
Yeah, you don't burn a Conch and you don't burn a Hariyama.
Yeah,
Those are two things that you see on the other side of the field. That Will-O-Wisp button should not be clicked.
Oh, never. Because then they just kind of run through teams at that point.
Yeah, Hariyama monstrous attack set after guts.
Oh, yeah. Definitely a really scary threat. And the Atlanta Braviary, like, I'm surprised to see Virizion do so well. It honestly, like, was one of the most lackluster things on his team, in my opinion. But then it was... He did miss 2 Will-O-Wisps, to be fair, before getting the crit. But at the same time, I'm pretty sure the 2 things Hippowdon did during that time was, like, a pretty useless Slack Off and Stealth Rocks. And those probably both would have happened either way. So I don't really think they matter all too much.
Mm-hmm.
But still, I mean, I guess, like, you can't say it was, like, a super one-sided hacks, I suppose. And yeah, crit kind of won for him, but it still, I think at that point could have gone either way, possibly, depending on how the Hippowdon was played. But overall, I just put the Atlanta Braviary a little lower, just because I feel like they definitely have, I just feel like they're about the same level, so I kind of went a little bit based off playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the Atlanta Braviary, my number 7. It was really hard to place one above the other, just because, 7 and 8, pretty much the same. The only reason I put him above is just because he did win this week. He does have a slightly better differential, so he's in a slightly better position to get into the playoffs. At least just if we look purely by numbers.
Yeah, I was just looking at his division, and I was like, oh, he's in not the best position.
No. Like, if we just look purely at numbers, he's got a better chance. But if we look at the divisions, he's in 5th in his conference. Yeah, that's not... that's not in a good spot, whereas the Westwind Park Rangers are 3rd in their division, where they'd have to get win out against the Berkhamsted Bastardons, which they're only one win apart. So there's that. And there isn't too much competition between the other division, the Sapphire division, just because it's a fairly weak division. So it's just hard for me. But yeah, he did burn a Hariyama. I want to see what he was thinking. That's just like, I saw him just like, what are you doing? Maybe he was predicting the switch out because Mew in on Hariyama.
Yeah, I was watching this battle live and I was just so confused.
Yeah, maybe that's it. I would never think that. Just because you look at the teams. I'm still kind of baffled by that Mew set. It looks like it should be offensive on that team. He's like Mega Scizor, Mew, Togekiss, Mismagius, Virizion. He's got so many things to burn, too. Mew, Mismagius, and Rotom Heat all have Will-O-Wisp.
Yeah.
I could see Mew in a more offensive direction this week, but, he did pull out the 1-0 win against the Vesquin Park Rangers. I cannot fault him for that. I can't knock him for winning. But I'm keeping it number 7. But again, 7 and 8 just very, I don't know.
Yeah, very similar positions, just one apart. It's not really too big of a difference. But my number 7 was the Vesquin Park Rangers, and they didn't do bad this week. They only got a 1-0 loss, slightly in part due to a crit overheat. But overall, I don't feel like they played bad, but it was just kind of how the game turned out. In the end, I don't feel as though either side was playing too hyper-aggressively. So the battle just kind of went, I feel like, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
When I say it out loud. But I didn't realize it till you brought it up. Mega Aerodactyl definitely could have been a massive threat this week with the right EVs and Roost, combined with the right coverage moves. Definitely could have put a dent in the Atlanta Braviaries team.
Yeah, just one point that I didn't bring up. I'm not really too certain why Excadrill was Mold Breaker this week. He's bringing the Hippodrill. I mean, I understand that Mold Breaker will get through that Rotom Heat. I've done it before. You've got Excadrill on Rotom Heat, it dies.
Yeah.
But you look at the other things he's got, and Sandrush Excadrill, I think, would have put in so much more work. It would have outsped the Virizion and dealt huge damage. Or, go really fancy and put slap on Sandforce. Really do big damage. That's a free sword stance when the sand is up. But I don't know. Maybe he had a reason. Maybe he just feared the Rotom Heat, and that's why he went with Mold Breaker. He did kill the Rotom Heat with a Earthquake. So.
Yep.
But anyway, moving on to number 6. I have the Washington Red Shells still at number 6. They did get a 6-0. And I would love to move the Washington Red Shells up, but to me, the teams above him I still think are bigger threats. That's not to say he's not a big threat. He just got a 6-0. His planning this week was, I think, fantastic. And his playing much more improved, as opposed to previous weeks. I think he's playing better this week than he was playing in the previous weeks. That being said, it's still, to me, he's still kind of inconsistent when it comes to playing. I have no complaints when it comes to his planning. It's extremely good. He's a very good planner. This week, his playing was just phenomenal. But saying that, I'm just worried about how is he going to play in future weeks. I don't know. Some weeks he just plays absolutely fantastic. Some weeks he just does not play nearly as well, and he loses kind of big. But this week, he brought the right stuff. Blissey, Detroit Pincers this week could not break through that thing. Couple with Gliscor, I know he's got a Mammoth but that's still hard to break through. Blissey, Gliscor, and then you've got Starmie to line it up as well. Yeah, it's Starmie, Gliscor, Blissey just basically ran through his team anyway. And then Shaman tacks on 1 kill. It was such a dominant match. He held the momentum throughout the entire match. Like, straight from the get-go, he's holding the momentum, and he never lets it go once. And that's impressive. Sometimes the momentum shifts to side, you still win the end, maybe you still win like 3-0. But this momentum never left. He held on to it really well. And he's using a defensive mon to keep momentum, and once you switch into a defensive mon, you lose. All momentum is killed once you switch into something like Blissey.
Yeah.
Because what's it going to do back? Nothing. But because the Detroit Pincers also have a fairly defensive team, it's able to keep the momentum going, and it got 3 kills. So.
Mm-hmm. And as for my number 6, I had the Berkhamsted Bastiodons. One thing that I thought was really weird this week was the Hoop Unbound. It was a special nasty plotter, but I definitely think a different variant would have worked a lot better, considering your opponent has 2 potential good fairies they could bring. The Azumarill and the Mega Audino. I guess, in theory, Azumarill is going to Aqua Jet it, but it can definitely take 1.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't run the calc, but I'm really sure that that's going to OHKO it.
Gunk shot?
What?
Is it gunk shot?
Yeah, with gunk shot.
Hmm.
And the Feraligatr attempted to set up at some point, but it got critted by the Weavile, unfortunately. You could argue that it could have swept, but I don't think it would have.
I did the calcs, it wouldn't have. Weavile, I think that might have been Choice Scarf Weavile, if I'm not mistaken, because the Feraligatr was at +1, the Weavile was still at sped. Unless that was just a Feraligatr with like min speed. Weavile still, I counted with like 150 HP EVs. That knockoff still does about 70 minimum.
Yeah.
Because that could be that was a max attack adamant Weavile. If it's Choice Scarf, that's what it's going to be, and it does so much damage. Feraligatr had like 1 hit left in him, maybe, and if it goes for an Aqua Jet, it dies. So.
Well, he would have had his Life Orb gun, but I'm pretty sure he'd have been pretty low, and possibly an Azumarill Aqua Jet might have just picked him off.
Definitely.
And the Berkhamsted Bastiodons is an odd team. Like they haven't lost too many times. They're 5-3, but the weeks they win, they just seem to do amazing. But the weeks they lose, I feel like they just really fall flat.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't remember them having like a really good game where they lost. At least not off the top of my head.
Yeah, I can see that. A lot of times they either win big or lose big. Yeah. There's some teams like that. I still think he's been doing pretty well, and he's at my number 5. So, yeah, he did lose, and I moved him down from number 3 against the Iowa Focus Energy. His team planning to me was odd. Like he said, no gunk shot on the Hoopa. That thing, you look at the Focus Energy's team they brought, gunk shot just probably Oko's Mega Audino, Rotom-O, and Azumarill. Done. Alright? As far as the other 3 go, Latias just kind of ran through his team this week. He didn't really have too much to stop it. Once the Feraligatr goes down, there goes his, sweeper. Hoopa Unbound went down pretty quickly. Crobat is not going to be able to deal with the Latias. Bastiodon, I don't think, is going to really be able to deal with the Latias, although it does resist the Psyshock and the Draco Meteor.
I believe it died to an HP fighting, though.
Yeah.
Or ground. I forget which one it was.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. It's got 2 4x weaknesses. Any HP will kill it. And Seismitoad can help out a little bit, but he didn't have much for the Latias and just showed. Weavile critting the Feraligatr, as I mentioned, I don't think that really mattered. The Calx I did just showed it did massive amounts of damage anyway. It had it like it was a roll to kill anyway. I'm pretty sure because it came in on rocks, so it was a roll anyway. Mega Audino didn't do much this time, so he was able to get rid of Mega Audino, which is just such a problem. But without any true way to stop the Latias, he was able to just kind of run through his team.
Yeah,
and he's still at number 5. He's still in a very good position. He's still a very strong team, even though his team still kind of odd. He's still doing really well. So he's still at my number 5. I think he can make the playoffs and do all the stuff he needs to do to make sure he gets there.
Yeah. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure on both of our lists, all the teams in the top 6 are at least, I believe they're all either 5-3 or 6-2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so definitely, really close race in these upper portions.
Yeah.
No team in this upper area is significantly better than the rest, but still really close race. Going to be interesting to see. And my number 5 are the Washington Red Shells. Literally couldn't have done better this week, getting a 6-0. I've had them at 6 for quite a while now, I believe. Or at least just this 6-5 region. I decided to put them in the upper portion because Bastiodon's lost. I kind of wanted to put him higher because, obviously 6-0 win. Also, I just feel like his team is really good, and I can definitely appreciate his really good planning. Even though he has to play pretty really defensively to win, it seems like. It's not like that's a bad thing. A win's a win. Doesn't really matter too much how you get there.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, it's just Blissey being a real annoyance. And him really utilizing the Starmie. Just really kind of won him the game.
Yeah. Not really too much to say. He's playing really well, and he's still number 6 on my list, so that's not...
pretty interchangeable, considering...
Yeah, a lot of these positions, some of them are just fairly interchangeable, and as you can see, my 6 is his 5, and his 6 is my 5. There's a lot of interchanging going along. Yeah. But anyway, number 4, and this is another interchanged pair. I have the Iowa Focus Energy at number 4. He did win this week. He won against the Berkhamsted Bastiodons. I don't really have too much to say about him at this point. He's playing really well. Much better than I thought he was going to be able to. And he's using his team much better than I thought he was going to. His team had a bunch of wrench killers, and he's putting it to good use. Latias just showing why it's so good in this format. Its stats lend itself to be able to take hits and still be fast and take things out. Weavile took out a huge threat on the Berkhamsted Bastiodon team, the Feraligatr. Granted, there was a little bit of hacks with the Hoop Unbound. It could have taken down the Mega Audino by itself because it had set up the nasty plot. It tried to go for Psychic, got paralyzed. Went for the Psychic, didn't take it out, and then got taken out by another Dazzling Gleam. So maybe it could have gotten at least 1 kill this week, and the Mega Audino would have gotten 0. I don't know if that would have affected anything because it's a paralyzed Hoopa Unbound, so it's going to die anyway. Yeah, I don't really see too much this was a relatively hackless match besides that. And Outfocus Energy, they're just doing well. They're at my number 4. They're one of the 6-2 teams. I know that the team above them, for me, it's 5-3. However, I felt like they're getting wins, which is good, great. I don't feel like he's getting big wins though. He's just keeping it nice and steady, 2-0s, 3-0s each week. It's what he needs to do. But the teams I have above him, they get just flashier wins, and I think they're just huge, even bigger threats. So he's at my number 4. He's still a huge threat this season. He's doing really well, and I can see him make the playoffs, going far in that. But he's at my number 4.
Mm-hmm. And my number 4, I have the Chelsea Shandies. Definitely a really close match between them and the Squim Malamar. It was 1-0, and it definitely didn't look like either team was taking too huge control throughout. The only problem was that they had absolutely nothing to really handle Mega Pidgeot all that well. Because if you look at their team, Keldeo, Quagsire, Azelf, Tangrowth, and Gengar, none of them really can take a Hurricane. Except for maybe Quagsire, but still it's not going to take it well. And they did have Slowking that can kind of take it, but it would also have to take a U-turn in the event the Squim Malamars predicted. Switches overall didn't work out that well, and by the time that died, Pidgeot was just putting in work. And then Darmanitan able to clean up. But overall, I just don't think their planning was bad. They didn't do bad at all whatsoever, even though they lost 1-0 against a team that has been pretty consistently highly ranked for the past few weeks. So overall, just really good job on their part. It's just a slight edge from the Squim Malamars and a lack of prep for the Mega Pidgeot, although I don't believe they had an amazing answer for it on their team.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm looking at it now, and it looks like, I guess, Bronzong couldn't have handled it. I mean, it might have if it was heat-proof. I guess Snorlax, maybe, kind of. And
No,
then,
not really.
And then Tyrantrum probably couldn't, because it's pretty especially frail. So it's not like they had the best answer in the world for it.
Mm-hmm.
A special flying attacker.
Yeah.
So, but still, overall, I feel like even with that, they played and planned very good. And I definitely think they deserve the number 4 spot. As you said, pretty interchangeable with the team above them, the Iowa Focus Energy. But I just went based off of record, and I just decided to put them one lower.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so at my number 3, I have the Chelsea Shandies. They played one of the best teams in the league, the Squim Malamar, and one of them was going to have to lose. One of them. So, really for me, it was just going to be who's going to be above the other. And the Chelsea Shandies ended up losing. They did not have much for the Mega Pidgeot. I'm not a big fan of Mega Pidgeot in this format. I don't think it's particularly great. But when you don't have much for Bird Spam, then it is very good. And you look at the Chelsea Shandies team, the only thing they had for the Bird Spam is the Bronzong, but they didn't bring it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they don't have anything for the Bird Spam. If it was going to be such a big problem, I could have seen them bring a heat-proof Bronzong. Anything heat-proof, but then it loses its ground immunity. Yeah, but Mega Pidgeot, yeah, it can run Hurricane, Heat Wave, and HP Ground, but then that's just kind of a wasted move just to hit the Bronzong. You know what I mean? It's like... So, the Chelsea Shandies, they did plan well. I think their counter was the Slowking, or at least the defensive check was the Slowking, because it can take special hits very well, but Mega Pidgeot, man, ran through his team. And he's picking up kills here and there. I mean, it's only a 1-0, so it wasn't even a big loss. And the Chelsea Shandies, I mean, they're coming off a 4-week win streak. Yeah, it was going to end sometime, most likely. And it just happened to end against one of the best teams in the league, and you knew it was going to be a close match, and it was a very close 1-0. Most of the match, half the matches this week were close 1-0s. And I didn't see any reason to move him lower than 3. I just saw a reason to move him lower than this Swin Malamar. So he's still my number 3.
Yep, my number 3 is Iowa Focus Energy. As you said, pretty interchangeable. All of the teams really close in record, really close. Just overall, really tight race. But Iowa Focus Energy at number 3. Their planning seemed pretty good. I don't quite feel like they outplanned. Well, they did definitely plan better than the Brigham City Bastions. But, like, on overall looking at it, I think this was a little bit more so a lackluster performance by the Bastions. But that's not to take away from the Iowa Focus Energy. They definitely did well. Their Weavile was able to put in a little bit of work. And Mega Audino surprisingly getting 1 kill. I mean, it's such a, like, hilarious thing that, like, people would joke about all the time. So, like, actually seeing it do something is kind of interesting, especially against a Hoop Unbound, which on a normal basis I'd assume would kill it. And then Vladios definitely really being able to come through this week. And Iowa Focus Energy being able to play a 3-0. And as we said earlier, the crit on the Feraligatr didn't really matter all too much. Maybe it could have saved a differential.
Yeah.
But still, you know, nothing too game changing. And just they may be getting some kind of, you know, close wins, nothing too flashy, but, you know, although it might make the teams above him look better when they get all their big fancy wins, I feel like, you know, the modest low differential wins are usually, like, if you can get them consistently, that I feel like that's more impressive than getting some good 6-0s and some losses in a more, you know, close mixture.
Yeah, no, I understand. I mean, he's been doing that. He's been consistently winning, so.
Yeah. It's like, I hold that a bit higher than being able to get slightly less often really good wins. Like, if you can just be consistently winning, I feel like that's the more important part.
Yep. But anyway, moving on. Number 2, and I think we agree on both 2 and 1. And I don't think too much to say about them this week. Number 2, I have this Squim Malamar. It's a team we didn't think was going to do that well this season. Proved us wrong. Amazingly wrong. They knew what they had to bring this week. They brought the Mega Pidgeot, which just ran through the Chelsea Shandies team, getting 4 kills, and then Darm cleaning up with 2 kills. This was such a good match, and the Squim Malamar, again, they're another team that are just kind of getting those low differential wins, but consistently winning. You know, I don't think they haven't won anything bigger than 3-0. And they're still winning, and I think, and the reason, I know the Iowa Focus Energy is doing the same thing. Iowa Focus Energy, there was a week or two where I thought their wins were just extremely hacksy. Maybe they shouldn't have won, maybe they should have, I don't know. They did win, so, you know, not a big. But anyway, I felt like the Squim Malamar, they're just dominant in their matches usually when they win. This was a little more back and forth than they've had in the past. And also, I feel like, again, we go back to, week 1, he did lose to a crit, basically. He could have been 7-1 currently. So, he's just doing extremely well, and I definitely see him making the playoffs. I like he'd have to start really losing, and he's won the past 3 matches. So far, his pattern is lose 1, win 3, lose 1, win 3. Is he going to do the same thing, lose 1, win 2 more? Because if he does, then he's going 8-3, and that's an amazing season.
Yeah.
So, doing really well. That's all I got.
He's my number 2 as well. Really not much to add on. You basically just hit everything that's really there to hit. Because it's just, low differential win, Mega Pidgeot running through with the team, Charmanitan cleaning up. And just, him being very consistent. And that potential week 1 win kind of got a bit hacked out, but, week 1, long time ago. And he's definitely turned it around from that week 1 loss. And that being one of his only 2 losses, I believe. I don't know. I have very forgetful memory. And just overall, being a very dominant force throughout the season. Only 1 loss that wasn't blamable on hacks. And just being really, really a scary team. Probably going to make playoffs unless he starts doing really bad, and I could definitely see him winning the entire thing.
Yeah, he's just being so much more dominant this season than we thought he was going to be. And speaking of people who are dominant this season, number 1, we have the Toronto Tarantrums. They are still at number 1 from last week. Second week in a row at number 1. They won 4-0 granted it was against the Middle Earth Magmortar, a team we unfortunately have low on the list, but his wins are just really it's like this is a team that's winning consistently and winning dominantly too. I mean, his wins, his losses, I think were like what? He lost a 1-0 and a 2-0, and all of his other wins are 2, 3, and 4-0s. Like he's winning, and not only winning, he's winning with a high differential in each of his games. So he's doing what he needs to really pull out some really high differentials. Somehow he gets 3 kills with Magnezone this week, and it doesn't die. How? I don't know. His opponent has a Kyurem Black with Earth Power, Nidoking, and a Crocodile. And an Infernape.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And it got 3 kills. Like, he's just playing so well, and his planning is just excellent. And you look at his team also, he brought 5 things on his team have 4 times weaknesses this week. And then Umbreon. I mean, I don't know, like, I would see Nidoking kind of running through his team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, Landorus, Ice Beam, Ferrothorn, Flamethrower. Can't really do much with Swampert, but Magnezone, Earth Power. Yeah, like, he's got things to kill all of them, and Nidoking got 0 kills.
Yeah.
He was just playing... He was outplaying the Middle Earth Magmortars pretty handily, and there's no reason not to keep him at number 1. He's 6-2. He is currently number 1 in the league. Highest differential, a fairly impressive plus 15 differential, and he's just doing what he needs to keep winning. So he's going to stay at number 1 as long as he keeps winning.
Yep, he's my number 1 as well. Magnezone, insane. I believe this is like the second week where Magnezone has just done amazing, which is weird because I honestly don't see Magnezone as like the biggest threat in this kind of format, so it's definitely interesting to see how well he utilizes it.
Mm-hmm.
As far as it being a 4-0 win, I honestly couldn't have expected much better, because if you look at the Middle Earth Magmortar's team, they've got some huge offensive threats like Kyurem Black, Nidoking, Mega Gardevoir, Crocodile, and Infernape. Like, he'd have to do pretty bad, honestly, to not get at least a few kills with those huge offensive threats. But overall, just really good showing by Toronto Tarantrums. They've just been mowing through the competition this entire season, although he has lost twice.
Yeah.
I still feel like he's been very consistent, both planning and playing. And I definitely could see him winning the entire thing, and I don't see him not making the playoffs.
Yeah, at least not at this point. If he doesn't make the playoffs at this point, that's a big upset.
Yeah, that'd be a really big upset.
But anyway, that is going to wrap up the power rankings for Week 8 of PICA. If you have your own power rankings, please leave them down in the comment section below. If you think we're wrong, let us know. Why should a different team be number one? Tell us why. Maybe, I don't know, DM Marshall Absols with the win should be number one. I don't know. You tell me.
I mean, if you think about it, they're 11. It's close to 1.
There's 2 1s in the numbers.
There's 2 1s in the number, so no one can complain about that.
But, yeah, some really good battles this week. I'm looking forward to next week. The trade window is indeed coming up next weekend. So we'll see. There will be probably not week 9, but the week 10 are probably is probably going to be another fairly long power rankings as we also talk about the trades and free agency picks. But that's all we got for today. My name is Burke. His name is Xavier. We'll see y'all next time.